God's blessings to you this day. It's the Lord's Day. It's the 1st of June, and it's just a wonderful day here in eastern Michigan. This is the kind of day you think about in the middle of the wintertime when the snow is flying and the sleet and all of that. And I'm just glad to be alive, glad to be able to sit outside and enjoy this beautiful day. And I wanted to speak today about the matter of Pride Month, and we hear so much about that. I made a video, must have been at least a year or two ago, about the matter of the Pride celebration and that sort of thing. And I wanted to say something about that if I could, and this is not meant to be in any way condemning of people. I have no desire to beat up on people. I have my opinions and my feelings and my convictions, make no apology for that. But it's not my intention to deliberately bash people. But I do want to say some things about this. The reason it came up was that I was taking my dog for a walk, ran into a neighbor in my walk, and he was talking about a pride flag that was flying, and I'm already seeing the rainbow flags everywhere, and want to say something about that. One of the arguments that people bring up, and it has come to me on occasion, is the statement that goes something like this: Jesus never said anything about homosexuality, did he? Jesus never said anything about it. He never addressed the matter. So why don't you just leave it alone? If Jesus didn't say anything, leave it alone. That's an argument from silence. Jesus didn't say much about many topics that we would consider important. I don't remember him saying anything about abortion, pedophilia, these kinds of highly incendiary topics. Because he didn't speak about it did not mean he didn't have strong convictions about these areas. And one of my responses to that, if someone were to say that to me, would be, my question would be, directly or indirectly? Explicitly or implicitly? And then at that point, I'm sure they would hesitate and pause and wonder what I meant by that. Well, what I'm saying is Jesus did restate the biblical commands about marriage, and I'm looking here at Matthew 19. Jesus spoke on marriage and family on more than one occasion. Matthew 19, he says when he was being challenged once again by the Pharisees, the religious hypocrites at the time, they came up to him and tested him by asking him, is it lawful for someone to divorce someone in any case? They're trying to trap him once again and ensnare him in some statement that he would make and then use it against him in a court of law. And so they're challenging him on the matter of divorce. And he answered them, have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh, so that they are no longer two but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate, or as the King James says, put asunder. So what is he doing? He's quoting and referring to Genesis 2:24, back in the very beginning of the Bible, where Moses, under the inspiration of the Spirit, writes these words, saying that marriage and family entail one male and one female, and then eventually their children. i.e., there's no room for other options. There's no room for two males, two women, or any other twisted arrangement. But this is God's divine design. So I'm tempted when I hear about quote-unquote Pride Month to ask the question, proud of what? What are you proud of? Well, I'm proud that I can openly and publicly express who I am. The Bible would say who you choose to be, how you choose to live your life. Let there be no mistake about it. Homosexuality, sodomy, lesbianism, or as we use the alphabet, LGBTQ and so on and so forth, is outside the parameters of God's will. In fact, it's safe to say it's diametrically opposed to God's ordering and arranging of human society and family. This is wrong. You may be proud of it. You may be marching down the street, waving a flag of colors, saying this is who I am and this is who we are and no one's going to tell us otherwise. You have that right. Christians aren't to be people who throw stones at people of this kind of, we'll say, orientation. We don't throw stones, but neither do we bend on this thoroughly biblical moral matter. Let there be no mistake that this behavior is condemned all through the Bible, explicitly and implicitly. I would start off with these statements here by Jesus referring to Genesis, the 2nd chapter and the family unit. And of course, more pronounced is the episode in Genesis 19 with Sodom, on into the Levitical laws of Moses, where such moral immorality was even stoned. I'm not saying once again that we're under the law of Moses, we are not, but that was considered to be absolutely an abomination in the eyes of God, so much so that such behavior was to be condemned, and this was to lead to death even. We see this being condemned all through the Bible, through the prophets, on into the New Testament, right here even in Matthew, the first gospel, the beginning book of the New Testament, on into the writings of Paul, for example, the first chapter of Romans. If you can get through that in any way, shape, or form, and find somehow that God is accepting and loving of this kind of behavior, good luck to you. That is not to say God hates homosexuals. He loves homosexuals. He loves heterosexuals. He loves all people. But he condemns this kind of reprobate behavior. Read Romans 1. It says that God gives them up to their ungodly lusts. They're determined to do it, so God, in effect, washes his hands of it. Paul condemns this in his letters, going on to say that those who do such things, as he lists the whole array of immoral and unrighteous behaviors, sodomy, homosexuality being listed among them. He's saying those who do such things deserve death and will not inherit the kingdom of God. Will not inherit the kingdom of God. These are considered fruits of unrighteousness. Look at, for example, there's so many places I could turn you to, but that's listed in Galatians 5. The fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, goodness, self-control. All these kinds of things are good, but this kind of behavior is reprehensible. If you're going to follow the Bible, you go all the way to the end of the Bible, even into Jude, the second from last book in the Bible, the penultimate book, and then Revelation itself, saying that such people are destined for destruction. And look at Jude verse 7, for example, and on in towards the end of Revelation, that their names will be blotted out of the book of life. So there's no question as to the Christian position on this, if we're going to be honest with the scriptures. Of course, you can twist the scriptures to make them say anything you want. You can do that with any piece of literature, really. You can turn it around, slice it and rearrange it and say that this doesn't really say that, when the overwhelming evidence is to the contrary. We have nothing to be proud of with regards to this behavior. But with that, again, what do? Do we stop talking to people that we find reprehensible in this regard? No. Remember that Jesus reached out to all people. That's what really got him in trouble so much at the time. He was a friend of tax collectors, and we can't appreciate that, but these were swindlers. And also with strumpets and prostitutes. He talked with them, he sat with them, he even ate with them. Let's not become so spiritually self-important and aloof that we feel as though we can't associate with such folks. The old line is what? Hate the sin, but love the sinner, right? Hate the sin, but love the sinner. Christ died for the ungodly, for people like me, and people like you, and people like the gay people around the world. God bless you today. Let's be proud of our heritage. Let's be proud of God and His kingdom. Let's be proud of this country. Let's be proud of our families. Let's be proud of our true accomplishments in life. And let's celebrate that and think about these things. So blessings, peace. May God, again, help you with whatever your needs are at this time. I welcome your comments and request that you share this, repost these things. We never know who needs to hear these sorts of things. God bless.